Hello and welcome back. This is session two. Uh, in session one, we discussed about loneliness and sadness, whereas today we will be talking about change and adapting to change and discussing that in a bit of detail on how I struggled with that and still struggle with it, and ways of moving forward in life, and hopefully finding some coping mechanisms that could potentially help you in the future or in the present. So, yeah. So, in the idea of change, there's so many directions we could go in. So, I'm going to start off firstly with the change of from being a child to moving on to being an adult. It's obviously because life is so simple you know, as a baby, hopefully that you've had a good upbringing as a child. And for me, I've had a good upbringing as a child. I've had my difficulties, but I still had a good upbringing. So, but it also comes I think the real kind of thing is you go to nursery, and once that period is done, then you go into primary school, and then secondary school, and then from secondary school, you can either go to college or you can go to university. And then from there, you get a job, you work hard, and you thrive from whatever you've chosen, whatever direction you've chosen to follow. So every stage in life is a change. Every day in a life is a change, and it's learning to accept that. Also accepting certain people are going to accept you and like you, whereas in other places people are not going to accept you. And it's creating that mindset of being as I spoke about in the last video, about not changing who you are. As long as you are a kind and loving person, then you shouldn't have to change yourself for others. And if you are in a friendship that wants to change you, then it's down to you, obviously, but it's you need to learn to back yourself out of that. It's or bring yourself forward and say, I don't like the fact you're trying to change me, so just let me be myself. If you don't accept that, then fine, but I can't accept you changing me. So I think that's always, because things will change you in life, and every day is a change. It's some days you have good weather, but then the next day it can change and it can be crap weather. So every day is vitally important that change is looked over. Some days you'll feel in a terrible mood, other days you'll feel in a very great mood. Some days you'll wake up early in the morning, other days you'll need to rest and you need to sleep in, kind of thing. So it's vitally important that you look after yourself, and that in this changing process throughout every day of life, you just take note of all the things. And I think changing from being a teenager into an adult is quite difficult. Yeah, you become a young adult first from the age of 16, and then when you're an official adult when you're 18. So, well, that's my belief. Um, but it's just that idea is you're gonna have to change. It's because you've always had the comfort of your parents or whoever's looked after you as a child, and the change of now you've got to move forward. You've got to gain your independence. You've got to be strong with that, and learning to grow with that is very important. Whether you go into college and the whole change of atmosphere, it's the pace is different, the thought process is different. You're not really got a certain direction you're going to go in. Or in college, well, in high school, you've got everybody's doing the same thing. Yeah, they might have an idea of what they're doing, but in college, it's very independent, and you got to focus on your own thing. Some people focus towards working in a job. Other people focus on just gaining the skills, gaining the confidence that's needed. So, yeah, and that's very important. And sometimes you will lose friends because they will choose to stay on till sixth year, and then you just, well, for me, I decided, no, I know where I want to go, so I'm going to take that path to college and pursue that. And yeah, sometimes we might need to know our limits of are we pushing ourselves too much, or are we not pushing ourselves hard enough? Because college requires commitment, you know, calmness if you're not calm, if you're not structured, if you don't have a routine. And it takes dedication and it takes work, and that whole mindset in a way to work to try everything. You will, again, in life you will have your struggles, including in college and in every part of your life, in primary school, secondary school, you know but it's being able to overcome that and say, like, these struggles are only making me stronger, because I've learned to be resilient, and it's like I can fight this now. Not physically, you're not going to physically, fight somebody, but you're going to say, it's like, I can control my own feelings now. And even if you feel a bit, un uneasy about that, it's a learning process. It's not something you can just do in a day. It does take a wee while to learn the steps in life to being able to control your thoughts, to control your emotions, to control your feelings, just to control the way you think life is for you. You can't change the world, but you can change yourself. And I think that sometimes people change themselves for the better, you know, and work hard, and others just choose that ways of, they still work, but they don't, but you know, they're considered low lives. But you know what? In actual fact, we're all equal. If you choose to work or if you choose to volunteer, it's, you're giving your life to helping or serving others. So it's like, if you're a chef, for instance, you're cooking for those whom you are serving. If you're in a hotel, you're keeping it clean, you're keeping it tidy. Just, I can't think of many of them, like, but those are examples, for instance. So I think, yeah, it's vitally important, like, even people who need help, all these helplines that have started, just, if you need help, get help. And as it said, focus on yourself first, but then try in some way to assess the world, or if you're in college, to assess college. And, if you choose to go that way, then go for it and say to yourself, it's like, okay, first I'm working on myself, and it seems to be working okay, and I seem to be getting into a better headspace. But then say, it's like, okay, now you're going to college, what can you do? Is this helpline advertised in college? Because it's like, you might see, because I see that there's a helpline posters everywhere, but people who don't know about it, or don't even know what it is or where it is, you know, just to advertise that and share, that these people are there in the world to help, and support, and just telling them a bit about your story, and telling them about, how they helped you just by talking simply. And it really does boost your confidence, and just, again, it's just reassuring people and letting them know that you're there if they need you, and they can decide whether or not, to discuss whatever they're struggling with, or they can choose to keep it a secret, whatever they choose to do. So it's a very important thing that we, if we get help, we should also, receive help first for ourselves. That's vitally important, but then to help others. I think, because in this world, we're so fixated on, life's, we do this, and this, which is fine for some. Other people say, like, no, I'm choosing my way, and that's okay. That's totally okay. I'm not currently working, but I'm willing to volunteer. I'm willing to spread the news of a helpline service, for me, because I know I'm going to one. And just to spread that and bring that to college, and say, just like simply ask to put up a poster, or just to display, for instance, because I have a wristband with the support place that I go to, you know. But it's like, again, don't be afraid to do this kind of thing. It's like, yeah, whatever course you're doing, that's fine, do that. But those who see themselves as like, I have a purpose in life and I'm not finding that yet, then choose to say it's like something needs to change within me. Is this direction I am following my own, or is there something that I'm pushing aside, you know, that I can't see yet, that I should maybe integrate into my life? And if that's supporting others, then yeah, like by all means, use that, grow with it, and in supporting others, they can help others, and we can hopefully make this world a better place where, you know, people will support each other, people will care for each other. There will always be the odd one or two, or 10, 15, 100 people who choose to be, you know, themselves in the wrong way and hurt others. But that sadly is the part of life that we have to deal with ourselves. But the stronger of a community we create together of support, care, and love, you know, there is still hope in this world. But we need to stand together. Because if we don't, then what is the point of living? You know, what is this point of life if we can't help each other? It's like, yeah, many people live this world as a lone person, and it's walking through life with loneliness, for instance, touching back upon that. You walk as a lone wolf, or, you know, just take that for an example. You're walking your whole life on your own. You're reflecting life with being on your own. And that thought process should never happen, because in actual fact we shouldn't be alone. We should be fighting constantly. And it's like, now you've got the confidence due to receiving help. Now it's your time to, you know, be that bigger person. Be that strong person that you are, and you know that you were, but the one that you are still today. It's just depending on if you choose to do that or if you choose to fall, you know. And there's a great quote which I have on Pinterest, which I shall just pull up quickly. But it's all about like keeping strong and keeping motivated kind of thing. So I'm just gonna get the quote up quickly. Where is it? So just this positive mindset, like passion plus consistency equals success. You know, just that. Your passion of what you believe in. It's like, I have a passion in this, and the consistency of how much I put into this will get me the success of what I have put into that course or that job or whatever I'm choosing to do. So, sorry, I've got so many of these. Like for instance, when you hit life and life change becomes too much. It says here, one of them says like, when you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit. You know, because that's a thing that I think many people, you know I do it. I tend to quit. It's like, I'm tired, you know, I give up. I stay in my room and I just, you know, flop. But the idea of staying strong, staying committed, and pushing on forward is really important. And I know this subject was obviously about like, this is about adapting to change and the fear that that can bring. So there's a quote here I have in front of me. It says, fear has two meanings. It says, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And this one has definitely stayed with me. It's like, because in the fear of things, it's like, yeah, how am I going to react to fear? It's like, will I fight it, or will I, you know, fall down? It's depending on how I choose to face life or how I'm feeling in the moment, kind of thing. But even that, things like that can change. Your point of view of like, if you're struggling with the direction in your life, do I go to college or do I not go to college? Am I pushing myself too hard to a limit where I know is not right for me, or am I pushing my limit to a place where I know I can go, and to a place where I know I can be? You know, so those kind of things rummage in your head, I hope, or maybe not. You know, again, it's down to you. It's down to the changes in your life. You know, if you've lost a loved one, that change can be really affecting on the present. and potentially, that can stay with you for life. But I've never lost someone, but I do, want people to know that there is support if you've lost someone, and it is hard, and it does break your heart, and you know but this change has happened. It's a difficult change. You've now lost your loved one, or you've lost a friend, or you've lost, just anyone in general that you've maybe been in primary school with, high school with, and college with. And hearing that news can really like break you, you know but it's like adapting to the change, not maybe forgetting about it, but thinking it's like, okay, these people, you know change. Everybody changes in life, and in changing from being a strong person to needing help, because I was strong-ish, back in high school, when I faked a smile, when I just fought and pushed through it. Whereas like now I've chosen, it's like, now my whole mindset's changed, and it's like, and now I need help. So I think that's really important, that we seek help, and in that change, that even if it lasts only however long, how many sessions you have, it will come to an end. But there's many quotes that say like, um, don't don't be sad that it's ending, be glad that it happened. And that's a great quote to think. It's like, you know all the stars on shine brightest in the night, things like that. It's like, so these positive things, it's like, stars are born, stars are beautiful. And if you look up at the sky and see, it's blue, I mean, you see a big bright light because it is quite bright outside. But it's just this whole idea of like, no matter what, don't be afraid that it's ending, because it's in you. You've got, whatever you've learned, taken to heart, or that of which you say like, no, this struggle has left me, so I'll leave it there. And it's like, now I'm safe. It's like, this struggle's gone. This support I have in my heart can now make me proceed towards whatever I wish to proceed in. Whatever whatever anybody proceed wants to proceed in their life with. And sometimes that can really help you grow. And I think it's really, really important. And I think I might say this several times, but change is an important thing in life, because we're all going to have to grow, to be our own person, you know, and just to have that strength, not to be afraid of that. And yeah, no matter if you find that through friendship, through family, the changes in life, we will all change friends from time to time. We will all, decide to create our own families, because, you know, families do fall apart, and it does hurt. But it's adapting, yes, and accepting the change. It's like, that did happen, but now I'm going to stand up and fight and say, I'm not going to let that affect my life, because the more I let it affect me daily, the more it's going to affect my future. It's like, I can't change the past has happened. I can't change, but I can change the present. But if I hold on to the past, it will stay in my present, which will then affect my future. I can't change the past, but I can write my future if I change the present that I live in. So if I change the mindset, okay, my family might have separated, gone their own way because they're adults, and that's okay. That's a natural thing in any situation. So we've all got to learn how to deal with change, and it's not always going to be an easy road. And it's hard for me to say, especially like, because you always want to say in these messages that, you'll be fine. You'll fly through life. It's all going to be perfect straight line. But in actual fact, it's like, it's the complete opposite. It's not going to be an easy road. But instead of just saying that, just say, but after that say, but I'm capable to do this. It's like saying it will have its ups and it will have its downs, but I'm strong enough. Gaining the strength from my ups will be able to mean I can conquer the downs more easily. But you will struggle. I know I struggle even in my good moments, you know, and whenever bad news hits me, it's just like, okay, fair enough. But to focus on those moments, just change your mindset saying like, this is where I need to go now. So I'm going to pursue this of joy and of happiness. So, and then just use that as fuel to keep going. So, and I use quotes very often. Well, I use as I said in my last day, my coping mechanisms are music, are quotes, was it singing or screaming, just to release that whatever emotion I'm feeling through the lyrics of songs. Um, I use drawing, so I do some drawings, which is all just calm. I do some writing, although it's not to be shared with others. It's my own personal writings of how I integrate my life into stories without using my name. So it's like in other characters, it depicts certain struggles, but then when you read over it, you realize it's like that's connected to this part of my life. That's connected to this part of my life, and the last story that I wrote ended in a death. You know, someone who saved someone then died. And it's like this whole journey. It's like we try our best, but we now need to say to ourselves, it's like the old version of ourselves. The fact that we're struggling now, that side needs to die because we don't. I'm not saying that we want to die. I'm saying like whatever's negative, get rid of it. That bit in our heads needs to leave. All these thoughts of negativity. If we can destroy those and only replace them or keep those of happy memories, happy joys, and just the strength to keep going, means that we're able to proceed in life a little bit easier. And it's obviously, again, I'm going to probably keep saying this, but it's not going to be easy. Everything is going to be a challenge. So we've got to remember to just proceed and cast away anything that is from our head that is not right and keep those of good memories. So yeah, it's the same thing like yesterday I said, like, stay strong. Don't be afraid of change. Change is positive. Change could be difficult, but I think everything happens for a reason, which is for some people hard depending on the depiction of how their life in the past has been. If you've had a rough upbringing, this whole idea of change and accepting things happen for a reason, can be difficult. Even I think it's like, why am I struggling? It's like, why do I deserve to struggle? But then when I realize, and now this whole section of my life, of my struggles, my whole high school journey, my whole college journeys before now, this period of time, I've really made an effort to say like, and now I need help. And it's only at the beginning of this year which I said like, now I need help to support myself and grow and be the person I want to be, rather than that of staying in this dark, lonely place. Like, yeah, there are good days, there are days but there are bad days when I feel weak, when I feel tired, and that is a bit difficult. But it's like listening to your body, accepting is like, yes, if there's something in you that you wish to change, like mentally, it will change your heart, in the way that's like your heart will be scarred with loneliness. It's a horrible feeling, and it's not easy to deal with, but it's then saying to yourself, it's like you can mend a broken heart. So, like, I'm just going to mention a few. I'm going to mention one artist, for instance, that really hits me. It's Avicii. His music really helps me proceed in life. I've listened to his music since, well, probably the beginning of high school when I first heard the song "Wake Me Up," and his music from there on, it's like, you know, always has a meaning behind it. I listen to the lyrics, and it's so understanding of like these are the struggles in my life, and you can also hear the struggles in his life, but it's certain things that are so important to understand. Like, yeah, the tragedy of this artist taking his own life because of the overworking that he did, the amount of concerts he did, you know, his legacy lives on in each and every one of us when we sing his music, when we, you know, listen to him on the radio, for instance. Like, every single thing that people do in life will stay with them in life. Yeah, sometimes I'll listen to other artists, but he is one that I listen to quite a bit, you know. And this is the idea. It's like I don't want people taking their own life because people are we're one world. We should live as one family. And when I hear that someone has jumped off a bridge, or someone's died, a big artist has died, that you would have followed throughout your like your life. It's like if a singer dies and you're like, I sung those songs, and just to hear that he died or she died at a very young age, or just in general an old age, these things can really affect you. But it's this just like the same with change in that respect. How do I adapt to that change? How do I adapt to this new start, this new beginning, and grow from it and say, yeah, okay, it's sad, but I can still fight through it. I can still honor the person's name in whatever way you can. Whether that's still listening to his music, still singing his songs or her songs, or still looking up, or just, you know, delving into their life stories and stuff like that. Because, or just not forgetting them, or just respecting what they have done. So that whole changing in your mind is like, yeah, I can still proceed, and I can learn, and I can go and share it in the world. It's like, this is not it. We're not finished in this world until we breathe our last breath, you know. So it's vitally important that we look after each other. We look after ourselves, but then that we look after each other. And if things come to an end, as I said before, you know, don't be sad that it's ended, but be glad that it happened. And I think I'll leave it at that. So, yeah, thank you.